Hello, I'm Peter Bell, and I'm here with Mr. Don Moore of Playfair Mining. Hello, Don.
Good afternoon, Peter.
Thank you very much for calling in. It's my pleasure to talk to you for the first time for the company YouTube channel. It's Monday, September 9th at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, and there's a news article, lots of headlines about nickel in particular, and one that I'd like for you to draw our attention to, which was simply that nickel is hotter than gold recently.
I've been I've been in this business a long time, Peter, and I think it's the first time in my career, which spans a lot more decades than I like to think about, that I've ever seen a headline like "Nickel is hotter than gold" right now. And it sort of gives me joy that our little group here does have nickel in the portfolio, and we're actively exploring. So maybe our timing is right. And not only that, the gold market itself has been really buoyant and firming up. So to have nickel hotter than a hot gold market is good.
Yeah, thank you so much. The history of putting together this project is very interesting, and the concepts of the technical work program breaking new ground, and to see you as a long-term participant in the minerals exploration business, to be breaking new ground and doing new things in old places, very impressive.
Thank you, Peter. This particular project, our geologist Neil Briggs and director Neil Briggs has a long history over in Norway. He was back there in the 1970s when the company he was working with, Falconbridge Nickel, was active in that area. Falconbridge at that time of history had a smelter in Norway, and they were looking for nickel projects over there, and they did in fact find and drill off a nickel deposit, which we have in our portfolio now. So the history of Neil and this property go back a long ways. But if you fast forward numerous decades, we stumbled onto this project in the EMX portfolio of properties and ended up making a deal with them. And we're very pleased that we were able to get a deal which we think is reasonable for Playfair. It just involves stock and a net smelter and very reasonable bars to jump over as far as work commitments go. So we're in a position right now of basically fulfilling our first year's obligations to EMX, sitting on a lot of data that we've accumulated off the history of the property, and have subsequently used something called computer-assisted or computer-aided resource detection system. It's a short form CARDS. And this CARDS system takes all the data that we've accumulated and basically does the same thing as a geologist. It takes that information and looks for similarities between one spot and the other. Well, the property, it's 300 square kilometers, is also the site of some past producing copper Beshi-style VMS deposits, 20 showings on the property over and above that. And it's amazing to have this much data to throw at the card system to give us new targets. So in fact, after grinding something like 75 million different pieces of information for a nickel copper algorithm and another 75 million for a copper zinc algorithm, we now have developed 24 targets that we're looking at, developed by the AI. Or by the card system, from this computer-aided resource detection system. So in order to try and verify what the computer is telling us and indicating to us, incidentally, what they did, these targets that did come out, look to be in reasonable spots geologically. Any reasonable geologist would not have any trouble agreeing that these AI developed targets are in spots that look reasonable. But we set about to verify the validity of these targets by using another geochemical technology called MMI. It stands for mobile metal ions, but basically it's just an idea of using very low detection levels to isolate ions that are permeating through the soils above any of the mineralization that may be down there. MMI is now capable of giving us 53 elements of the various rock types that are below us, and as such, through yet another computer-assisted algorithm, the MMI people are able to tell us what kind of rock types we're actually on top of from the basis from the results of this survey. Our hope, of course, is to be able to see nickel copper ions in some of the targets and copper zinc ions in other targets to verify the validity of what we're looking at as developed by AI, or this computer-assisted or computer-aided resource detection system. Better that than AI. AI sort of implies some kind of magic black box. This is not magic. This is just tough, hard work, taking all the data that was available, using algorithms to look for similarities from one spot to the next, and having this much information available makes this particular system work, we think, extraordinarily well under these conditions.
And thank you very much, Don. Kind regards to Albert Mining and the proprietors of the cards. And thanks also to SGS, the lab in Burnaby is doing the MMI processing. And I had a chance to attend a lab visit with you recently here in summer 2019 and was very impressed. It was the second time I had seen the MMI tour, and it is the future of minerals exploration to some degree, as is data mining methods.
Yeah. Incidentally, we followed the development of this card system for many years, and it wasn't until recently that we felt that we had a project that would fit well to the card system. Now, mobile metal ions were developed by some Australians, Dr. Alan Mann and Russ Burrell, going back, I don't know, 15 or 20 years ago, and we followed the evolution of that technology also. And it's amazing how advanced the SGS has brought the analysis of this information forward, and we're expecting to get the 53 elements from the analysis that SGS is doing sometime in the near future here. And we are going to have Dr. Alan Mann take all that data and use his expertise and algorithms to give us an interpretation of all the data that has been produced. So we are relying heavily on computers in this particular program, but at the end of the day, what we see coming back is still going to be interpreted by our well-rounded and experienced geologist Neil Briggs and Greg Davison to guide us and what our next move is.
Wonderful. Good work. It occurs to me that all of these elements at all of these sampling locations will give you another million data points, or 10 million data points, or 100 million data points, as maybe more, if you add it back to the existing databases that you have. The ability to do ongoing data mining efforts, I think, is something that is potentially interesting, right?
Yeah. As we go forward, we may add to that database by going back into the field and tightening up some of the lines that were put in for the, particularly for the geochemistry, the MMI. But we're at that point now of wanting to move forward and develop our drill targets and have the confidence that when we step on the ground that we're going to have something good to shoot at, and we're starting to feel that. Another thing I'd like to point out to you, the market in general for this since 2011 has been rather cruel on us explorationists, particularly the guys involved with exploration such as we are. Coming by money has been a very difficult and tedious issue. There's a few groups out there that are doing exceedingly well. The guys have got some discovery are able to attract excessive amounts of money, and it's been wonderful to see that happening. But down at the exploration end, it's still been rather tight. So as a result of that, the opportunity for the public at large to participate in these programs, to take a I want to say a speculation on stocks like Playfair at these prices, it's certainly something that one does not see too many times in a lifetime. Today we're looking at a stock less than 5 cents, and a program that could conceivably give you a lot of upside. Keep in mind that when we're looking for these VMS type deposits in the with a copper zinc type of cards detection system, we're looking at an area that had a couple past producing mines of VMS style, and we all know that these VMS deposits do not occur by themselves. There's clusters of them. So in this particular instance, we've got a really good chance of coming up with something. So I say hang on to your hat and let's see what happens here over the next few weeks when we get our results back and interpreted. And we'll be talking and determining what that next step is going to be, Peter.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And discovery in a rising metals market can be such a joyful experience, right? To again go back to nickel's price surge, up over 50% in the past 3 months, up 10% in the last week. Investor Intel, Matthew Bolson notes in recent article from September 5th, 2019, and to talk about nickel discovery and copper and some cobalt in there as well, I believe.
Correct. The VMS deposits that we're looking for, the past producers were what we call Beshi style VMS deposits. The discerning thing with VMS Beshi style is their presence in sediments and also the presence of cobalt. It's the only VMS type deposit that really has any cobalt signature at all, and that's what sets it apart. They can be very rich and they can also be very large. Windy Craigie being large and the original Beshi being very rich. So it's an exciting time for our little company, and let's see where we go from here.
Allow me to read some names off of locations of interest: Rusu, Svartjoen, Schatterfell, Falninga, Falninga again, Dalsgruva, Kviknigruven, Estenvangen, Vangsgruven, all kinds of areas of interest. And we have maps up on Google showing the card's target areas and these old mine sites. And there's some indications of where the sampling work was done as well, too. And it's a pleasure to be able to put that kind of information out for the public to see as well.
We think that Neil Briggs did just an amazing job in displaying this. It's all on our website there, how he considered the fact that he's the first person to actually do this type of a program. So I think he's done everyone a great service by demonstrating how exactly we're approaching this, and anyone with interest, I'm sure would enjoy looking at his work on our Playfair website.
And this is a significant accomplishment as an explorationist, and for the group, for the company to be breaking new ground. That's what discovery is all about, and pushing methodology as well. Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, Peter. Till we have some more news for you, we'll put this on. I say, let you do your thing with it.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay, bye now.
It's a very fine day.